On the one hand, the F-35 is a game changer. What Israel is able to do in the skies over Iran, the fact that no Iranian Air Force really exists that could even meet the Israelis. The F-35 gave those capabilities. And Israel also soups up its F-35s. They can do things American F-35s can't, but they are a game changer. When the Israelis maneuver around the Middle East, the only people who can see them, if they want to be stealth, are CENTCOM, or the Americans. If the Saudis get those capabilities, the Saudis can now possibly see Israeli movements. Saudi Arabia's F-35s would also be 15 minutes flight from Israeli territory. On the other hand, Saudi Arabia does not, at this moment, does not have the kind of competent military that can actually make good use of these kinds of weapon systems. It has a tradition of buying vast American, complicated, sophisticated, modern American weapon systems, but then not actually having the human capital side of the military, the training side, the skill to actually deploy them effectively. And you saw that in the Yemen war. Saudi Arabia is a very vulnerable state. It's one of the reasons it is so close to Israel. It wants to be so close to America. So I think that the F-35 purchase should be seen a little bit as a prestige question. It looks very formidable. By the way, Iran has spent 30 years building up things that look formidable, and when the rubber hit the road, turned out to just Israel could cut through those systems like a hot knife through butter. The biggest thing the Saudis want for that purchase is to be useful to America. Mohammed bin Salman visited the White House just now. He talked about $1 trillion investment in the American economy, and President Trump patted him on the shoulder multiple times. It's about holding America close. That's Saudi Arabia's real defense doctrine. The Saudis want to push back on Muslim Brotherhood radicalism in the region. It's a version of Islam that they believe threatens their regime. Partly, they want an Abraham Accords for that reason. But one of the big things that the Abraham Accords was supposed to give them, it's essentially there's a buyer's market. The Saudis have a lot of leverage over Israel because the Israelis are kind of pathetically eager to have that alliance. It means a lot to Israel. And it reshapes how Israel understands itself in the region. And so because the Israelis are eager to collaborate and participate and want to use Saudi airspace to deal with Iran and Yemen, any crumb the Saudis throw the Israelis in terms of an alliance, the Israelis will accept eagerly, gratefully. The Saudis basically right now have a major military and intelligence alliance with Israel. It's just not public, but everybody knows about it. The Abraham Accords, normalization, putting it all on the table, the main benefit for Saudi was that through Israel, it would open doors in Washington. Israel is now in a much more tenuous position in Washington. So MBS comes to Washington, develops a track with Trump that doesn't need Israel in the room. America, I think, still wants to build in the Middle East a Saudi-Israeli alliance that stabilizes, that is pro-American, that isn't jihadi, that is able to push back on multiple fronts. But Saudi doesn't need Israel for that quite as much anymore. I suspect that the Abraham Accords with Saudi Arabia is actually pushed off. It's pushed off by the Gaza war. I suspect that it is no longer quite as valuable to Saudi. Next week it could then be announced, and then I'll look silly.